Taxes, taxes, taxes. They make the world go round. And last week, it seemed like everyone at the Capitol was busy rolling out their own proposals for the legislative session. Lawmakers agree reforming the tax structure is long overdue. Lower income families are seeing a large percentage of their pay go right back to the state, while top earners pay a much smaller percentage. A lot of proposals on the table. Democratic leaders want to hit the rich with capital gains surcharges and a mansion taxes on homes worth over $1.7 million. Watch this.
It would be a reliable revenue stream. Once the value of the property is established, the mill rate applied to it, it's quite predictable how much that tax will bring in on an annual basis. And that's very different from many of the other taxes that the state levies directly, where the return is often somewhat speculative.
Kevin Kelly talking about pocketbook issues, kitchen table issues. Watch this.
Our state's too expensive, and a sales tax cut is the easiest way that can deliver relief today. It's broad-based. Everybody can participate, and people are struggling today.
Well, McKinney, it's at least nice to know that they have some money to spend to do this kind of stuff. When you were up there, it was the opposite.
Well, we had some big deficits, but as Roy and I both know, whether you have deficits or whether you have surpluses, it's still hard to pass a budget. You know, there are 187 legislators. There are probably 187 different ideas how to spend all that budget surplus. Look, there are a lot of tax cut proposals. The one difference between the Republican proposal to cut the sales tax and some of the Democratic proposals is the Republican proposal will take effect immediately. The governor's offer on the property tax credit doesn't kick into next year. The child tax credit, those things don't kick in to the following year. So I think the Republicans are trying to focus on a regressive tax. People are struggling with high inflation. Let's give them some relief immediately. And I think the Democrats should consider some combination of what the Republicans are offering.
And they probably will in the end. The one that I'm especially focused on is Sean Scanlon's child tax credit. I think that is an enormously beneficial program. It lifts thousands of kids and families out of poverty, and that money goes right back into the economy. I think they ought to do that.
It does. So the counter argument is that a better proposal than the property tax credit? And what do you say to our seniors who've invested so much time and energy in building up our communities, whose kids are grown, who won't get any tax relief, who still need tax relief? I do think there's promise in that proposal, but I think there needs to be a broader set of relief as well.
All right, guys, so Democrats are also at odds over the Earned Income Tax Credit. McKinney can't wait to say EITC. Governor Lamont increased it only temporarily, while others want it to be permanent. Tax Commissioner, our pal Mark Boughton, believes doing that would just be too costly in the end. Watch this.
Frankly, as a policy person, I'm worried. And so if we add on more tax cuts, we're going to go right back to that lurching from crisis to crisis. And we've got to be very measured and really understand the impact of each of these moves that we make over the next several years. Could it be on the table in the future? I think there's nothing more than the governor wants than to be able to offer a higher earned income tax credit. But it may not be the prudent thing to do until we understand where the economy is going in the long haul and what that means for Connecticut.
All right, Roy, what do you think?
It's another good proposal. Governor Malloy was a big proponent of the earned income tax credit, started by a Republican president, by the way, John. And so I think it deserves consideration. I agree with John. I think the final package is going to be some mix of all this sort of stuff. Unlike the leader of the National Republican Senate Campaign Committee, who proposed actually increasing taxes on the working poor and middle class. Good idea.
Ronald Reagan called the EITC the greatest jobs program there ever was, because it's money that goes directly into the pockets of really the poorest of the poor people in our country, in our state. It's a helpful program. I do think the governor's right to be cautious about a permanent raise to 41.5%. That's a very high level, and how that number plays out over time is going to impact future budgets. But it is a good program, and it does provide a lot of help for people who really need it.
Right, and to that point, if you build, if you're a poor family, the lower end of the economic spectrum, and you build that tax cut at 41% into your budget, and then it gets pulled back, reduced in the next couple of years, then you got a pop. So I think it's a fair point.
All right, guys, next up on Capitol Report, assessing Connecticut's place in baseball history and how we compare it to other states. Time to play ball, baby. We're coming right back. Don't go away.